Great day, attractive thinker. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your identity coach and get to the root specialist at theattractivethinker.guru. This is where we support new and aspiring entrepreneurs with the mental health resources that you need to overcome the obstacles and the challenges and, really make your dreams come true. Reach your goals, write your book, start your business idea because those dreams inside of you are real things that need to be manifested. Welcome, my co host, Tichet Bradshaw, to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance.
Happy Mindset Monday, everybody. We made it. We waited to another week of power. We get to do what we've never done, go where we've never gone, and have all that we deserve to have in this lifetime. It's a great day to be alive.
It is a fantastic and amazing day to be alive. Attractive thinkers, I want you to feel that right now. I want that to resonate throughout your day, throughout your energy, throughout your spirit. I want you to fully embrace that and believe that. I wake up saying that to Shep because it's like the first thoughts or the first words that come out of my mouth after you realize that you're awake. And of course, all this other stuff comes up. But as soon as you open your mouth and say, "Good morning, Toni. It is a great day to be alive," it changes things. Those contrary thoughts, they subside. And you shift back into who you truly are, into your power, and you're able to take the next step to make your day what you want it to be. It is a great day. Think about that. Today, right now, in this moment, it is a great day to be alive. Today, we're going to be talking about the great takeover. And I trust that you have your Attractive Thinker notebooks handy and your pen to take these notes and capture these gems. I also trust that you have already received your copy of the Attractive Thinker Experience on Amazon. You need this. We're going to be talking about this throughout these episodes. We'll be talking about this for a long time because this Attractive Thinker Experience is a 726 page full color hardcover resource. It's a transformational resource for you. You cannot experience this and not change and it not transform your life or it not shift your perception so that you can see beyond what's being presented to you. You want to get to a point in life where you're able to see beyond your circumstances because your circumstances are not what's going to get you the results that you're looking for. You use your circumstances to get the result that you're looking for. So you have to be able to have vision as an attractive thinker to see beyond the circumstances. That vision that you see beyond these circumstances is what's going to pull you through the circumstance. And being pulled through the circumstance, this is where you acquire the spirit, the energy, the resources, the clarity, the courage, and the confidence that you need to become the person who acquires the goal. See, it would be very nice, it would be awesome for us to shed. So we think that if we had a goal, we could just run out there and do it and make it happen. But the person who has the goal is different from the person who acquires the goal. I am a different person. Prior to writing the Attractive Thinker Experience, I was a woman, a certain type of woman. But now that I've written this Attractive Thinker Experience, I'm not the same person who wrote the book. I'm a different woman. I have different insights and perspectives and beliefs. And I feel different in my body. I have a better outlook, a different outlook on life. And life didn't change. I did. I want you to write that down in your Attractive Thinker notebook. Life does not have to change when you do. That's what changes everything. That's how powerful you are. Life doesn't have to change when you change because when you change your perception, you can look at the same circumstance and get another outcome. You can look at the same circumstance and shift and shape and mold things that didn't stand out to you before you shifted your perception. So it's all there. That's why we did the episode, I believe it was maybe 2 weeks ago. It's not what you're going through, but how you're viewing it. And that's the whole theme of this Attractive Thinker Generation Global Movement. It's not what you're going through, but how you're viewing it. So today we're going to be talking about the Great Takeover. After you've been in a break and you've experienced the break, and now that you're living life beyond the break, how do you move forward? Who do you be? How do you make things happen now? You knew how to make things happen before, but how do you reach your goals now? Talk to us today, Tichet, about this great takeover.
Absolutely. We have to get into a place where we are willing to trust the spirit that is in us, right? The higher self, what you want to call it, trust God, trust the Holy Spirit. We want to be able to get into a place where we trust that there's more to life than what we see in this moment, right? There's more to just the circumstance. Life is not just about what's going on. It's definitely more about how we perceiving what's going on. And like you said, Dr. Toni, when you was writing the book, you said you are a different woman since writing the book. And that's because as things were going on while you were writing the book, new wisdom, new clarity, new meaning was coming up for you. New things were happening as you transition. And I like what you said. You said life doesn't have to change when you do, because you can be in a place of in the same place and have a different perception, and it changes all your everything about life. And I've been in that position where I was in a place of brokenness, and I was in a place where I didn't feel great to be alive at that moment, right? I do now. I didn't feel great to be alive. I didn't enjoy life. I was hanging on by a thread. And really and truly, it was my thought about that life that uh caused me to feel that energy, to operate in that energy of I don't want to be here, to operate in that energy of nothing good happens to me, or every time something happens, every time something good happens, here comes something bad happens to wipe it away. Operating out that energy of lack, right? Because lack has an energy, so does self-love. Self-love has an energy. We get to pick and choose what energy we operate out of, but we have to trust the greatness that's within us to be able to see ourselves higher than what's going on, or the situation that's going on, or the circumstance that's going on. So when things are consistently looking the same and you start changing and things still look the same, you start questioning, like, okay, so I'm this different person, but everything around me looks the same. Everything around you might not have changed, but your perception did. So once your perception changed and you access the higher energy, then everything around you will start manifesting or start changing towards your perception. You'll be able to create in a different way than you would have if you didn't have that perception. Perception is everything. And trusting yourself is the most important thing, because I think that's where a lot of us get tripped up. We are easily trusting everybody else's decision, or everybody else's goals, or what they want for our life. And this person said I could become, and this person said that I am, and they said I couldn't do. And you end up trusting that because they might be in a position of power, so to speak. But do you know you're in a position of power too? You are set up to be the highest you, or the greatest you can ever be right now, even in this moment. I don't care if you went all the way down to nothing. Well, I care, but what I mean is, when you got down to a place of nothing, that's where you realize you have everything, right? Because you have nothing to lose, so you can risk it all. What's the difference in perception when you had a little bit of comfort left versus you don't have any comfort left? When things are happening in your life, and just because you said this on a show, Dr. Toni, you said just life is not going to stop just because you decided to get a life, right? Life is not going to stop happening just because you decided to get a life, meaning you're going to have circumstances, you're going to have situations happen, you're going to have stuff that is unwarranted or unwanted to happen. How you respond to those situations, circumstances makes a difference in the world. So what we call the great takeover is operating out of the energy of the higher self who understands that no matter what, everything works out. So when you have a situation and you know no matter what, everything works out, you look for the solution and not the problem. So you might, if you, I was a person where I used to say, well, sometimes everything don't work out. Sometimes it don't work out the way. I still lost this and I still lost that. But now in this position that I'm in, because I trusted my higher self, I realized that even though I lost all that, my gain was more valuable. My gain in the end was valuable. My gain came after the loss. This is why we say living life beyond the break is great, because even though the break happens and we can't change what happened, we can't go back and undo it, we can't do anything. So we have to come to terms with what happened in the break. We have to come to terms with what our life has become at that up to this point. And now that we're letting the great takeover, now that we're stepping into the great takeover energy, we're allowing our life to become and not limiting it to what it already has become or what we perceive it has become. So we change our perception and we allow our higher self to paint a greater picture than what we can conceive. And we trust it, we go in it. Let me give you an example. For instance, I'm always talking about my move, right? I'm talking about my landlord at the time wanted to sell the house from right up under us. In that instant, you get all people's ideas of what you could do, and you feel like you failed, you feel like you lost something. I felt like I lost something. I loved my home. I thought my home was good, but I felt like I lost something. I thought it was unfair. But there was a spirit that was within me that was saying, hey, if you're letting go of that, it's because greatness is calling you. It just kept saying it. Greatness is calling you. Greatness is calling you. If your landlord is doing this, that means something is better out there, which means I had to trust the spirit of better out there. I had to trust the spirit and not settle for anything that came, the first thing that came my way, or not settle for, okay, well, I'll just take this. Because I can't have that, I'll take this. I had to trust the better is on the way and look for it. And so when I begin to look for it, when I begin to trust and look for it, I found. And so even though my landlord sold it, I'm thankful for it. I'm happy about it because I walked into a whole new season. I did not know I was walking into a new season like that. I thought I was losing a home. But see, your spirit knows better. Your spirit knew you were walking into a brand new season. You was going to walk into a new mindset, new ways of living, a new habits. You were going to walk into exposing yourself to new ideas and new passion. I was walking into a whole new season, but I had to be willing to let go of what I thought was breaking me. I had to be willing to let go of situations and circumstances that life threw my way. And I had to take them lemons and make lemonade. But I had to believe that I was a person that could make lemonade. And that took trusting the greatness in me. I could have just believed, well, I can't afford anything else, or I can't get this, or I can't, all the limitations we throw out the butts, all the butts we throw out when it comes to making a decision to do something great. We say, but I don't have, and I can't do, but we throw out all those limitations. Those limitations was already worked out. All those limited thoughts and beliefs was not even part of my experiences. So I didn't have to think those. So I had to trust the greatness in me and look for the manifestation of the greatness, and I found it, and I let that take over, and that's how I end up in the season. Back to you, Dr. Toni.
It's interesting to have this conversation with you, Tichet, because today we're talking about the great takeover. And when we talk about great, we're talking about something huge. We're talking about something bigger than normal or bigger than average. And attractive thinkers, you may be wondering the great takeover, meaning where in my life is this happening? How do I apply what you're saying, what you're sharing with us today, this attractive thinking message. When we talk about takeover, we're talking about the act of seizing, taking authority, control, or management, taking your power back. That's a good one. Taking your power back. Now, how did we lose our power? Now, what we're talking about is taking your power back, owning what it is that you want out of life, and taking the necessary action steps to make that happen. Again, the Attractive Thinker Experience on Amazon will really give you the tools to do that. So, if you're in the process of taking over the great takeover, um and you need power to do that, how did we lose our power? Now let's talk about that, because there were several times, Tichet, in what you just shared, at least three times you talked about trust. Now, when it comes down to trusting, see, you're not going to move forward, attractive thinker, if you don't trust yourself. So how did we lose our power? How did we lose trust in ourselves? I remember as a little girl, I grew up in religion, and it was tough. I'm telling you, it was tough for a person like me who always thinks outside of the box. But I remember always having to ask permission of the pastor to do things. You know, we had to ask for permission to go on vacation. We had to ask for permission to wear certain things or to go certain places, whether it's going to roller skating or going swimming or whatever it might be. It was just too much for me to bear. And not understanding that, and always having to ask for permission as a child, because those are the transformative years, those are also the programmable years. And I was being programmed to not trust my own decisions, to not trust myself. So always having to ask for permission, you grow up as an adult needing approval and validation and permission for things that you desire in your own personal life that have nothing to do with anybody else. That's a form of giving your power away. You know how we allow people to manipulate our power, steal our power, rob us of our power, dumb down our power. All of that is at play when we need permission to do things. So we also end up in places whereas we don't trust ourselves. So how are you going to make decisions that are good for you when you don't trust yourself to do so? And I know what that feels like. If you've made decisions before and they didn't turn out the way you wanted them to, or they turned out and we call them quote unquote failures, or they messed up our lives or someone else's life, or whatever it might be, or you got yourself in a rut, what is there to make you want to trust yourself again? What is there to make you trust in yourself again, to make another decision that is good for you? So we have to build, we have to develop that. You said we have to get to the place where as we trust that there is life beyond circumstances, that that's a real thing. You said we have to trust the greatness in us. Do you know, listen, if you've been following the attractive thinker movement for such, for some time, and you've heard me and Tichet, you've seen us on and offline at live events and in virtual events, whatever it might be, and you've heard me say that greatness doesn't always feel so great. When that's the case, greatness doesn't always feel so great. How can you trust in your greatness if it doesn't feel great? People tend to lean towards things that feel good, and they develop this belief, Tichet, that if it doesn't feel good, then that's not it. If it's taking me out of my comfort zone, that might not be it, or that's not for me, or I need to move in another direction, or I need not to pursue that. But that's not always the case. If greatness doesn't feel so great, what if seeing beyond that particular circumstance or challenge or opportunity, maybe you may be faced with an opportunity, you're not sure whether it's the opportunity you should take, because you're thinking that this opportunity should make you feel great, but it's putting you in a squeeze. Now your back is against the wall. Now you're between a rock and a hard place. Greatness doesn't feel so great. And great opportunities don't always look like opportunities. That's why you have to develop the attractive thinker eye to be able to see, develop that vision where you can see beyond what's being presented to you and you align it up with your vision, you see it differently than the average eye. When you see it differently than the average eye, you shift your perception. You say, wait a minute, I'm standing right here. Let me move over here and look at it from this perspective or this angle and see if I can see something different. Let me step to the left and see what I see over here, looking at the same situation and circumstance or the same opportunity. And let me see if this is really an opportunity for me to take, whereas I will get the results that I'm looking for, and it's a win-win all the way around. Because if you're not looking at it with your vision, because vision allows you to see beyond what's being presented. It allows you to see beyond the bright, shiny objects, the money. That's a big one. Vision allows you to see beyond the money. How many times have you made decisions based on money and it turned out not to be the right decision? So money is not a determining factor when it comes down to an opportunity as entrepreneurs. So we can't use money. So, oh, well, whatever, that's the money right there. So yeah, I'll sign on the dotted line. Money isn't everything, and all money is not good money. I want you to think about that. You got to have a discerning spirit. And Tichet is going to talk to us today about these mental senses, these spiritual senses that we have to have. These are senses beyond our physical senses. They're senses beyond our sight, our hearing, our smell, our taste, and our touch. You have to go beyond that because energy is everything. And again, in the attractive thinker experience that you have, that you purchased from Amazon, we talk about that energy is everything. You got to check the energy first. Energy does not lie. People come in all shapes and forms and sizes. Experiences come in all shapes and forms and sizes. But the energy behind it, the energy that you're experiencing while you're experiencing these things does not lie. So Tichet, talk to us, because we're talking about today the great takeover. And in order to activate this great takeover in your life, you have to shift into senses that are beyond your five senses. Talk to us today.
Absolutely, I can really get into this. So here's the thing. A lot of us, we build our life externally, right? We build our life based on the five senses: the taste, the touch, the smell, the sight, and the hearing. We want our life to look a certain way. We want it to feel and sound and smell a certain way. Those are the five senses. So when you go to choose something in life, you choose it based on your five senses. Well, when you shift to building your life internally, which is so important. When you build your life internally, here are the five innocencies that I've gained. And a lot of you, if you're interested in learning more about the five senses, I recommend the book Heart of the Soul. So the five innocencies are clarity, meaning, purpose, intuition, and wisdom. Clarity, meaning, purpose, intuition, and wisdom. These are the five inner senses. Now, how do we work these inner senses? So when we are going throughout life, just the same way you build externally with the five senses, now you got to incorporate, okay, what's my intuition saying? Okay, let me get more clarity about what exactly is going on here. Let me gain some clarity before making a decision. Let me understand where I stand with this. Let me understand the vision. There's a Bible scripture that says, "In all thy getting, get understanding."
Yeah.
Let me get clarity on something before I go signing on a dotted line. So
Mhm.
we got intuition, we got clarity. Another thing is, what meaning do I want my life to be?
Mhm.
That's an important one. I want my life, all of us deep down inside, well, not all of us, attractive thinkers and visionaries, all we like our life to have some sort of meaning. So even if our pain can bring meaning, that also can add to fulfillment. So when we have meaning of something, it takes away the pain of it all. So for instance, when you give birth and you're going into labor and you're having them contractions, because you know you're giving birth, you have the joy set before you, you have your baby set before you, you have the purpose set before you. When you're giving birth, it's almost like, okay, I'll endure this pain, and bear down and you know, and you go through that pain. And I'm telling you, the strength of a woman, Lord, uh, we can go through some pain and give birth to something that has to live beyond us, right? And so when we go through all that pain and then we give birth, it's almost like once we see the baby, we almost forget the pain.
Yeah.
Right, and we didn't end up, after they get one and start cuckoo and cachooing and all that stuff, we end up wanting another one. And in that moment that we want the other one, do we ever think when we was on that table, like, why did you do this to me? You know what I mean? Like, because the pain be so great sometimes. I mean, it depends on your type of labor, but that pain can be so great. So the same thing when you're giving birth to your business, the same thing when you're giving birth to your new self. The same thing can be seen in every area. How you do anything is how you do everything. When you experience deep pain in something, it is important to find clarity so that it can give it meaning, so that you can find out the purpose of it, so that you can follow the intuition that leads you to what that vision is, and allow it to become something that makes you great. It is possible to take pain and turn it into greatness, just like it's possible to take pain and turn it into power. That's what we're doing here with Beyond the Break. We're turning our pain into power. We're over here giving you the jewels and gems that we have learned along the way, so that we can, so that perhaps you can take what we've learned. You can take the Attractive Thinker book, everything that Toni has been learning and things like that. You can take that stuff and apply it to your life and end up having it become something greater than what you can imagine, greater than what you thought. You ever do something and you thought it was small at first, but then it ended up being a movement?
My God.
That takes you following intuition on something small. So you have to have, you know how they say you have to have the faith the size of the mustard seed. You have to have an inkling of belief in yourself. That's really all it takes. An inkling. If you got an inkling, go the whole way. Follow that inkling. You don't have to have it all right now, right? You don't have, it's not an overnight process. Trusting yourself is not an overnight process. Sometimes, even if you don't trust yourself, you just got to do it anyway. Just, just step out and trust yourself. How do you know you can fly if you don't get off that ledge? How do you know you can fly off that ledge if you don't trust yourself to take the leap? Right? It's something rewarding that comes into trusting ourselves. So when you build your life internally and you build it listening, being having a habit of listening to your intuition, not going by what you see by sight, you're going by vision. You're following your intuition regardless of what it looks like. You build that habit, your intuition won't lead you wrong, especially when you build your consciousness up and you get closer to God, you get closer to the Holy Spirit, and you start listening to the spirit that is great, that is within you, that knows all things. You get access to the source of all things. Your spirit will not lead you wrong, especially if you're a person, a woman who knows she has intuition. You know that something said, sometimes we gotta listen to that. Something told me not to, something said this, something told me to turn the corner, something. That something is your intuition. Your intuition is telling you, hey, go left. And we don't see nothing over there to go left. We're like, okay, I don't know what's over there. I had to use my intuition in trading. I lie to you not. I use my intuition in trading, and it allowed me to trade in a way that I would make people's annual salary in a day using my intuition. And I didn't know how I was doing this. I was just trusting, because the stuff that my intuition would tell me to go in, it just wouldn't look like nothing. I didn't even really, I wouldn't have picked that. Right. But I trusted my intuition and I allowed myself to get in it. And it just happened to like zoom up, and I'm like, how is this happening? And so that gave me a little rush, and like, okay, I could do this trusting thing. So what happened is, throughout the course of my life, when I was hearing things, and it started with little things. Hey, go to the store, pick up a cup of milk, take it to somebody's house, you take it to their house, and their baby needed milk you never even knew. It's little things that build up your trust and your intuition. And you get to the point where you might not know why your intuition is saying this, but all you know, you need to do what it says. You want to get to that point, and that does not take overnight. Sometimes we get to a point where we don't listen and we find out why we shouldn't have did this or why we should have did that. But guess what? Even if you didn't listen and you find out why, it's not too late, because opportunities will come around again and again. And speaking of opportunities, Dr. Toni, sometimes opportunities will show up as problems.
Yes.
Because nothing will tell you to move out like a problem showing up in the home. Nothing will tell you quit the job like a problem coming into the job. Like all of a sudden your management changing. You don't like the boss. Oh, here's a business coming at you. Or something happened in the home, things break down, and it's like, okay, that the furnace broke, the AC broke. I'm not saying to move every time you have problems, but there's sometimes when a problem happens, instead of being focused on the problem, ask yourself, what's really going on? Is it time for me to go? Is it time for me to move? Like, you got to listen to your spirit. Is it time for me to go? But a lot of times your spirit will say, hey, time to go, right before that thing breaks. And you say, see, that's not coincidental, because nothing is coincidental. So we're building life listening to our intuition. We're building life chasing wisdom. You chase wisdom with everything that you have. Wisdom is like you want air. You have to chase wisdom as it's like food. You need nourishment. Wisdom is the nourishment of the spirit. It allows you to learn and grow and learn and grow and be in a cycle of learning and growing, and then you're growing from what you're learning. It's a cycle. You want to chase wisdom. Wisdom goes with understanding, right? There's some times where you might not have wisdom for a thing. This is where you use intuition. Okay, this is where, because sometimes wisdom is gained from experiences. Sometimes it's from experiences. Sometimes you can learn something. Sometimes you can sit at somebody's feet and let them give you all the wisdom, and you chase wisdom with everything you have. And then again, you get clarity. When there's wisdom, there's also clarity. When there's clarity, there's meaning. And when there's meaning, it always ends up in purpose. You see the purpose of something. So you want to build your life with those five senses leading, or at least balance with the five senses externally. If you're allowing your innocencies to lead your life, you're leading by spirit. If you're allowing your external to lead your life, you're building by ego. They have to have a balance. It's not good to be without ego, but it's not good to have that ego inflamed. This is how we get narcissism, right? We want to be with the spirit, but we don't want to be all holy nor earthly good, right? We want to be in the spirit, but we want to be hearers and doers, right? And so at one point I had to do an ego death, and I thought, okay, well, I got rid of my ego, and I was in a good space of, some people might call it Zen and all this stuff, and I was just peaceful, but I wasn't doing anything with it. So then the ego had to come in to give me some sort of push to get out there and make and do something with the clarity and the meaning and the purpose and the intuition. I had to do something with that to create something, because we took on these physical bodies so that we can observe life in the fullness inside and outside. But the problem that I've had coming up is I was creating based on my five senses: the taste, touch, smell, hearing. But now I have shifted and let the great takeover happen with the spirit being the lead, as well as the five senses. So the spirit, inner senses, the multisensory, that's what they'll call it in the heart of the soul. They'll call it multisensory. When that started to lead, I got to see how different I am based on the two. For instance, I saw how I am when I build a life externally, and I saw how I am when I build a life internally. So I got to see the difference, right? Imagine what your life is like without your five senses, right? Do you still want to do the thing that you're doing? Do you still want to go where you're going? Do you still want to be with who you're being with? Do you still want to, build the way you're building if you're building five senses? Would it matter about a house if you didn't have any of these five senses? Would it matter what people think about you if you didn't have the hearing to hear what they said? Would it matter? Would anything matter if you didn't have the five senses? And a lot of times it wouldn't. You would have to trust your inner spirit to have it. So the thing is when we have those physical senses to help us observe. It's like a baby coming into a life, coming into this physical form, and as they go throughout the earth, they're touching things, and they're like, okay, am I supposed to hear it? Am I supposed to taste it? Am I supposed to see it? And you're like, put that out your mouth. That's not it. And they learn real quick why not to put that in their mouth. We're observing. These physical senses is there for us to observe, but it's not supposed to be the thing we build with solely. We have to have balance. Without balance, nothing can stand. So we got to allow ourselves to know ourselves with our inner senses as well. You know what you don't like to smell. You know what you don't like to see, hear, taste, or touch. You know yourself by that, but do you know yourself by your intuition, by your clarity, your meaning, your purpose, and your wisdom? Do you know that you have wisdom? Do you think that is wisdom that you have? Some of us are sitting on wisdom, but because somebody else didn't ordain us to say it, we don't pull it out there. We don't know that we're the ones with the power. There's some of you that are sitting here that has not been ordained by a church that has the power of ministry. There are some of you that are out here that are prophets who have never had to prophesy in a church, but you out here and you have vision. Yes. And you have a forthcoming vision. You can see futuristically. The thing is how did your wisdom work for you? How does your intuition work for you? How does having meaning to your life work for you? How does that work for you? When you have meaning to your life, there's a fulfillment that comes with it. And that fulfillment that comes with it actually makes everything you go through during the birthing process worth it. Your baby, your heart, your spirit, your ministry, your business, all the things, your talents, your gifts, all that stuff that's within you. When you go and you birth forth that and you look your baby in your face, it makes all the pain you had to go through, the nauseousness, the things that made you sick to your stomach, the uncomfortable, the pain going up your back, the stuff you just think, you at one point you question, why did I do this to myself? Why did I do this? Dr. Toni, I like you not, when I was pregnant with my daughter, and this is a funny thing, I think I got to about 3 months pregnant, and I was like, oh man, at some point she's gonna have to come out. I was like, that's gonna hurt. And I sat there the whole day and I was like, how's she gonna get out? No way. There's no way for her to get out without the pain. What was I thinking? What was I thinking? I was like, she's gonna have to come out. So it's like you start questioning some things. It's like, why did I do this? But the joy set before you. The joy is the fulfillment, the peace, the purpose, knowing the purpose manifested, having something that you once saw as a thought manifesting into a physical, watching the journey as well as the destination is the most fulfilling thing you can have. The thing is a lot of us, if we're building externally, you're trying to build a destination without getting on a journey. So we have to have the journey. You have to have the journey. It's like some people be like, I don't even know how I got here. You ever have something hurt so bad that you end up at a friend's house and don't remember driving the street? What drove you? Your intuition. Your intuition took the wheel because you weren't paying attention to road signs, to light changes, to what's going on. But somehow you made it to somebody that you knew could jumpstart you. You made it to somebody who you knew could talk you into continuing to be alive. And that's the thing. We want to feel alive. That's the whole goal of all of this, is to take our senses, our 5 inner senses and our 5 external senses, and to take it and make us feel alive. Nothing feels more alive like balancing those two, the multisensory. And that's why we say it's a great day to be alive. We don't mean you just wake up in the morning. We mean feel alive. It's the great day to live in your fullness. That's what I mean when I say great day to be alive. Back to you, Dr. Toni.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. That's good. It is a great day to be alive. Thank you for that clarity, for sharing it with the attractive thinker generation. It gives them a deeper perspective of what we're saying. You know, to shed the great takeover is actually trusting what you already have inside. You mentioned those five multi-sensory senses and the intuition, the purpose, the meaning, the clarity, and the wisdom. Now, the great takeover attractive thinker is when you shift into these energies. The great takeover is understanding that what's inside of you is greater than anything outside of you. It's greater than anything that you can experience in this life. And Tashet and I, if you look back through some of our other messages on this YouTube channel, Beyond the Break 2020, you will understand that we have had defining moments in our lives, whereas we were able to tap into these other senses of intuition and wisdom and clarity, because greatness doesn't feel so great. And when you're down for the count, you can't see that going down really prepares you to go up. You can't see that. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to have an attractive thinker perspective when you're experiencing these circumstances, and understanding that the energy that you bring to the circumstance is more important than what you're actually experiencing. Let me say that again. The energy that you bring to the experience is more important than what you're actually experiencing, whether it's an obstacle, a challenge, an opportunity, some decisions that you have to make, whatever it is. What energy? This is the great takeover. You take over the situation. You
Mm-hmm.
take authority over the situation, attractive thinker. If it's an opportunity, if it's a decision that you have to make, if it's something being presented to you to elevate you, and you're not sure if it's something that you should participate in it or not, you take over the situation. Let me share something with you. When you don't know what to do you? When you don't know what to do you? I've
Yes.
had to do that in so many situations and circumstances. And again, when you're placed in a space like that and your back is against the wall, you don't know what to do. You don't have time to figure out how to trust yourself to make this decision. So many times I just said it out of my mouth. I trust that this decision is going to be the right decision for me. See, do you understand, attractive thinker, that sometimes, see, when you take your power back, you dismantle the circumstance. It doesn't have the power to produce an outcome that's not favorable in your life. Only you have the power to make that happen. When you dismantle the circumstance using this great takeover that we're talking about, you understand that it's going to work out because you're working it. It's
Yep.
going to work out because it was presented to you. It's going to work out because you decide that it's going to work out. That's you taking your power back. But most of the time, Tishet, when faced with circumstances, we look at the circumstances like it has the power over us. Like, oh my God, like this is not going to work out. Or, oh my God, so and so said they experienced this and that's what happened to them. And you're thinking what happened to them is going to happen to you. You know, like, oh my God, I just heard about that on the news, and now they're talking about that down the street, or somebody knocked on my door talking about it. They're sending me emails about it, or and you're thinking that you're going to that circumstance. You're thinking that that circumstance has the power to come in and dictate the results in your life. No, you have that kind of. Now we can't change some circumstances. You know, we can't change everything, but owning the power to change your perspective and trusting yourself that no matter what the outcome, you're going to be okay is enough.
Yes.
It's enough. That's you owning your power. Sometimes you can't change or make things the way you want them to be, or prevent things from happening in your life. But the one thing that nobody can take away from you is how you view it. You
Mm-hmm.
get to choose how you view it. You can say, well, oh my God, this is going to take me out. And that's not a healthy perspective. If you can say that, you can also say, you know what? I don't know what I have to go through. Just like Tichet was saying with the baby, you know what? I don't know what pain I have to go through. I don't know whether I'm gonna have to have this baby the natural way or C-section, whatever. One thing I do know is that I'm gonna leave here with my bundle of joy.
Mm-hmm.
So many times I've, had my back against the wall. I had to say things. I found myself saying things that I didn't plan. I didn't rehearse. I didn't know what I was going to say. I just opened my mouth and used my power. When you open your mouth, you'd be surprised at what power comes out of your mouth for that particular situation. This is the great takeover we're talking about. You
Mm-hmm.
owning you trusting you when you can't trust anything else. You can depend on you because you're all that you have.
Yes.
You can't depend on all of these other people, places, and things because they have a mind of their own. But you can trust and depend on yourself, not trust you and trust who? Who better to trust over you with your life? You mean to tell me you would take your life and place it in somebody else's hand? You trust somebody else better with your life than you? No, get your power back. This is the great takeover here. Get your trust back in yourself. Take authority over your life and your experiences and call them what you want them to be. You might say, well, Dr. Toni, I did call it. Trust me, I've been there because faith, it doesn't feel good all the time. It doesn't feel good to walk by faith all the time when you don't know you're out there in the unknown and nothing's familiar, and all the people that you knew, they stayed back there across the river, and you out here with your happy go faithful self and taking risks and leaps and jumps and believing in things you can't see. I understand it. I get it. And it doesn't feel good all the time. But I promise you, the person that you're becoming, that's going to make all the difference in the goals that you have going forward, in the life that you desire going forward, in the, like Tasha said, in the aliveness.
Mm-hmm.
You enter into a zone and you experience an aliveness that the people across the river will never get to experience, because there is another side, another part of life that only the champions get to experience. Only the risk takers get to experience. Only the ones that have just a tiny bit of faith. All you need is a tiny bit of faith, and you get to experience this other side of life and activate your own great takeover. Tasha, tell our audience how they can get in touch with you, the visual encourager, and give us some last comments that you have. I know your wheels are spinning and some things are coming to mind.
All I know is this right here, I'm gonna have to listen to over and over because the power that's coming out of here, this is what you mean with the great takeover. You said we sometimes you open your mouth and don't know what's gonna come out
Mhm.
until you open it. This is what we're doing.
Yes.
We're getting wisdom, clarity, meaning, and purpose,
Yes.
using our intuition to give you these answers and gems and jewels. And I'm just fired up. So I just want to tell everybody that um, choosing you is the best way to go.
Yes.
Um, following, feeling alive,
Mhm.
trusting that no matter what, there's no mistakes.
Mm.
You can't miss any opportunities that is for you. Any opportunity that is for you will come. If it passed you, it will come back to you. The opportunities is always there. Every problem is not a problem. Some problems are opportunities. um Trusting you with your own life first before you go out here and incorporate other people for your life is
Mm.
a must.
Yes.
Understanding that your experience is your perception of your experience is very important, right? Because your most of, if you think about it, majority of your life is just perception. A
Mm.
lot of things might have happened, might have taken 5 minutes to happen, and then it took you years to recover, or
Mm.
it took you years to think over it or let it go. You know, you might have had something happen 10 years ago and you're still crying about it today. That's in today by thought.
Mm.
You bring that experience back into your day by thought. That's like going back and keep reliving the same pain over and over again. because I choose to bring that into my now. We're saying right now in the takeover, it's time to move forward.
Mm.
It's time to take what you learned, take the
Mhm.
clarity and the meaning, apply the purpose, use your intuition to move
Mhm.
forward in life so that you can build a life internally and externally, a life of fulfillment that you love and desire. You can find me on my website at www.visualencouragement.com. We provide mental support for movers and shakers, for trailblazers, pathfinders, and groundbreakers. All you visionaries who desire to move mountains, but need help lifting the heaviness so that you can create a new vision for yourself. Go to my contact us page, put in your information. Let me know how I can uplift you, enlighten you, and encourage you so that you can live a life of fulfillment beyond the break. It is yours. It is yours. It is yours. It's a great day to be alive. See you soon.
Yes, 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 yes. Attractive thinker. It is a great day to be alive. I want you to think about that. I'm sure you captured it in your attractive thinker notebook. This message is definitely one to listen to over and over again so that you experience the fullness of this great takeover. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your identity coach and get to the root specialist at theattractivethinker.guru. Run on over to the website, grab your freebies, place your email and contact information in the box so you get on our mailing list and you get these regular messages from the Attractive Thinker generation joining our communities. All of the details are in the email, but you have to place your email in the box on the homepage to become a member and be connected to this community. I want you to make sure, if you have not already done so, make sure you get your copy of this Attractive Thinker experience on Amazon today. I promise you, you'll be so glad you did. This is a resource. I actually had to deliver a copy of this Attractive Thinker experience this past week. And this is a resource that you do not want to share. You don't want anybody borrowing it from you. You want to keep your eye on it, make sure it doesn't grow legs and walk out of your front door because you're going to need this on your entrepreneurial journey for mental healing, mental strength, and mindset maintenance. You always hear us say, our life's work, we're doing it right now. That's to make your life better. Remember, it is not what you're going through, it's how you view it. Think, attract, and we'll see you soon.